Hello, and thank you for joining us today as we dive into two of my favorite topics, marketing automation and CRM, or more specifically, talking about ClickDimensions and Microsoft Dynamics 365. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Chad Collette. I'm the Director of Marketing here at LedView Partners, where we help businesses transform their approach to their sales, their marketing, and customer service by aligning their teams to focus on improving their customers' experience through CRM solutions like Microsoft Dynamics 365 and Salesforce, as well as integrated marketing automation tools like ClickDimensions, who I am happy to have joining us today. Now, being a marketer, I live and breathe marketing automation and CRM every single day. I don't know what I would do without these two powerful marketing engines. Now, I think a lot of folks, unfortunately, don't understand really the full power of a marketing automation solution and really just kind of focus on that email marketing. But it is just so much more, which you're going to get to see today. That's why I'm excited to welcome Matt from ClickDimensions to provide an inside look at the ClickDimensions marketing automation solution that lives right within Microsoft Dynamics 365. Now, I've used these tools for years, but I really love these demos because every single time I watch them, I get fresh ideas on how to really get more out of these tools to drive efficiencies and really extend our marketing reach. So with that, Matt, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, Chad. I appreciate you having me on. So just to get started, as Chad said, we are built right inside of Microsoft Dynamics. So ClickDimensions is going to give you the ability to do things like email to those existing contacts and accounts that you already have inside of your CRM. But as Chad said, it's a lot more than that. We really are a full service marketing automation platform, and we're focused on the Dynamics environment. So if you are using Dynamics CRM, we can do all of our marketing activities from right where we're working out of every single day. And we're going to go through about 2 slides today, and then we'll spend the rest of the time in the demo. But just to reiterate, we are fully native. So when we're accessing all the different ClickDimensions functionalities that you see today, it's going to be done from right inside of the Dynamics navigation. We are fully supported as well. So if you do sign up for ClickDimensions, you're going to get what's known as a customer success manager assigned to your account. They're going to be there for the duration of your contract. They're going to be there to help you make sure that we're successful using the tool. If you do have feature or functionality questions, they're a great place to start. But we also have an online academy with, bunch of different videos and courses to make sure that you know how to use the tool properly before we actually send you out on your own. And we've been doing this for over 10 years now. So we also have a decade's worth of support articles to help you with your ClickDimensions and Dynamics functionalities as we're working inside of the tool. We also do have a support team that are experts in Dynamics and in ClickDimensions to make sure that everything is functioning properly. We are also fully committed to the Dynamics CRM environment. So we've been working with Dynamics since our inception. We don't work with any other CRMs. We're dedicated to this platform. So if you are using Dynamics and you're using ClickDimensions, you don't have to worry about our focus going anywhere else. We will be focused on Dynamics for the life cycle of our product. So with that, these are some of the features that we're going to be giving you with the tool. So as we mentioned, we do have an email marketing tool and there's a ton of useful functionality in there, but we do have a lot more to offer as well. So we do let you manage your events from inside of Dynamics as well. So if we're using Cvent, Eventbrite, GoToWebinar, or WebEx, we connect all of those back into CRM. We do have a social marketing functionality that's going to allow you to post to LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. We have a campaign automation tool that's going to make you or let you build out nurture campaigns as well as drip campaigns. But this is really where a lot of the automation piece comes in. There's a lot of stuff we can do in campaign automation to make sure that we're actually touching these new leads that we're receiving, and you don't actually have to manually send out emails. We can automate all of these different processes in there. We do have an SMS functionality as well, so we connect to Twilio, bulk SMS, and MessageNet. We do have some reporting inside of ClickDimensions and Dynamics, so we're going to be giving you feedback on how our content's performing. We have a form capture tool. We do have an online survey editor as well as a survey tool built inside of Dynamics, so we can send out surveys, we can create landing pages, we can tie those forms and surveys to these landing pages. We do have training and support, as mentioned before. We do have some web intelligence functionality as well, so you're going to be able to see which pages of your website people are viewing, how long they're staying, and we're actually going to be able to tie those views back to specific leads or contacts inside of your CRM. And then we also have a lead scoring functionality, so we're going to be able to point your salespeople in the direction of the hottest leads. Now, with that said, I'll go ahead and jump directly into the tool. So when we first open up Dynamics, what we're going to see is the My Campaign. So if we're using Dynamics, one of the things I think is really important to use is going to be the Dynamics campaign functionality. One of the things to keep in mind about ClickDimensions, since we are tied into your CRM, is that you're going to be able to see the ClickDimensions data on an individual level, on a Dynamics campaign level, and at an organizational level. So if we are using these Dynamics campaigns, and the way I like to think of these is one central location for us to tie all of our marketing activities back to a specific marketing initiative. So if we were launching a new product, for example, and we were sending emails related to this product, we were also sending SMSs, we created a new form for this product, we had a survey for this product that we were trying to see how people felt about it. All of those different marketing activities can be tied back to this specific campaign. So that way, if we want to see how these different marketing activities are performing related to this new product, we're going to be able to go to this related tab, and you'll be able to see any campaign automations that we're running for this, any texts we've sent, any events we've run, who participated in that event, any form captures that we have, any page views, social clicks, website visits. Really, it's just going to be a way for us to see all of the different marketing activities tied to what we're doing for this new product launch. So that's the way I want you to think about campaigns as we're going through this, and I'll show you how we can tie all of these different marketing activities back to this one spot. Now, while we're under the planning area, you'll see we also do have a marketing calendar. So this is something that's going to help you stay organized as a marketer. It is going to show us all of our current marketing activities that we have scheduled. It's going to show us things like campaigns, emails, all of our automations, text message, events, and social posts. I am on a small screen, so these aren't blown up currently, but if we do click on them, you are still going to be able to see all of the stuff that we have scheduled. So we do give you a marketing calendar. One of the great things about ClickDimensions as well is because this data is tied back into CRM, you can create Dynamics dashboards based off of the data that we're receiving from ClickDimensions. And then we also have an intelligent dashboards product that we offer as an add-on. And you can actually check out our other webinar on that. Me and Chad are planning to do one of those as well. So that's where we'll access the campaigns, the calendar, intelligent dashboards, and if we have built any Dynamics dashboards, that's going to come from this planning area as well. But really, where a lot of the ClickDimensions functionality comes from is going to be this messaging tab. So as we're going through this drop down here is where we're going to be able to access all of the different ClickDimensions functionality. But if we want to do something like send an email, create a new email template, send an SMS, or even create a social post, that's all going to be done from messaging. So when we jump into messaging, let's go ahead and create a new email send just so I can show you how easy this is. So if we, what we have to do is we have to type in the name of the email itself, and then you're going to want to select an editor type. So we do offer a variety of different editors. I will say our new drag and drop is the most popular for our customers to use. It is very easy to use, but we also do have a freestyle editor, custom HTML, and a block editor. So if you do like using HTML, we have that available, but I will say drag and drop is going to be our most popular. So once I select that, what I have to do now, scroll down. We can add a subject to this. And then one of the things that I think is pretty cool as well is the ability to select who this email is coming from. So for example, one of the things that we do internally at ClickDimensions is we'll send an email on behalf of our CEO, Mike Dickerson. But, we don't want him to receive all of the emails that we're receiving back, especially if we're sending this email to a lot of our contacts. So what we'll do is make it look like it's coming from Mike, and then we'll have all of the replies go back to our marketing team. So this is something you're going to have the functionality to do whenever we're creating an email using the ClickDimensions tool, but I do think it's really useful. So once we say who it's coming from, once we put a subject in and select which editor we're going to use, what we have to do is save this. And now you'll see we have the option to go ahead and open this editor. Now, one of the other things I want to show you before we do that is if we did want to send this to a marketing list that we have created inside of Dynamics, we're going to come down here to recipients, and then we'll go to add existing marketing list. And then you can search for any of the marketing lists that we've pre-created. You select it, click add, and now everyone on that marketing list are going to be added to this email send. So if we did have a suppressed marketing list, for example, a group of people that we didn't want to receive this email, you could always tie that list to this as well, so they wouldn't receive it. But one of the things ClickDimensions does is we actually filter for similar email addresses. So if we do have two of the same contacts on the same marketing list, they're not going to receive this email twice. The system is sophisticated enough to recognize that and only send them this email one time. So let's go ahead and open the editor. So this is drag and drop, and we are going to give you some basic layouts to start with. If we had created an email template, which is going to be the same functionality as far as how we create it, you'll have the option to use that custom HTML, the block editor, or a new drag and drop. But if we had created a template, we could go to my templates, and then you'll have the ability to edit these individually. So I'm going to select this Troximo email. Troximo is a fake motorcycle company that we use to demo inside of ClickDimensions, so you'll see a lot of this as we're going through. But this is a previous template that we've used that we're going to edit for the purpose of this email. So if you've created content in the past, you don't have to worry about recreating every single email. We can always pull that back in. Now, with this, it is drag and drop. So if I did want to add an image anywhere in here, for example, I can drop that image block, go to select image, and then I can pull any of these images that I already have saved inside of Dynamics. So if I did want to add this one, for example, I go to OK, and now we have our logo down here as well. Now, one of the things you'll notice in this text box is this personalized code right here. So because ClickDimensions is built inside of Dynamics, we do have access to all of those fields inside of your CRM. So right now, we're pulling this person's first name to make it feel like this was sent as a one-off. But if we wanted to add any more personalizations than that, what we'll do is we'll just go to this personalize button here, and then you'll see we can pull from a contact, lead, account owner, or even a previous email send, and then we can select any field inside of Dynamics. So company name is another pretty prominent one that we use. If I did want to pull that in, it's as simple as selecting it, and then we have this piece of code that's going to pull that directly from the contact. So you do have a lot of options when it comes to personalizing. You're going to have all of your standard formatting options. One of the things that I think is cool as well is if you did want to add a background image, you have the ability to do so. But something that's going to be super useful for marketers out there is the ability to add conditions to these sections. So what this does is it gives us the ability to say only people who meet our criteria are actually going to be able to see this section of the email. So let's say, for instance, we were running an event, one in Chicago, one in Atlanta, but we only wanted people in the Atlanta region to be able to see the messaging for Atlanta. But on this same email, we have event messaging for the event in Chicago. So instead of having everybody see both parts of the email, what we would do is we'd say the contact address city must equal Atlanta. And now only people in Atlanta are actually going to be able to see that part of the email. So you can add multiple conditions in here as well. And that's actually what I just did, which is why it's not letting me save it currently. I got to fill this one out too. So I'm going to go ahead and put another address box in here. I'm going to say if they're close by in Nashville, for example, they can still see this. And then we'll go ahead and save that condition. Now, only people in Atlanta or Nashville are going to be able to see this piece of the email. But again, you don't have to do it based off of cities. We can pull from any of those fields instead of Dynamics. So that's how we would add conditions. One of the other things I think is super cool is if we do want to see what this email would look like before we actually send it out, what we're going to do is we go to test and preview and then go to preview. And we're going to be able to run what's called an inbox preview. Click run new inbox preview. And now what this is going to do is it's going to show us what this email will look like in the variety of different inboxes that it could end up in. Does take just a second to load because we are sending it through, a number of different email inboxes. But again, you'll be able to see what this looks like on Android versus iPhone, what it looks like on Chrome versus AOL Firefox. So you can click on any of these and it'll blow it up for you. But really, what I think is even more useful than that is the spam filter. So what this does is this runs it through a variety of different spam filters as well, and make sure that this email isn't going to get caught before we send it out. If we are spending all this time creating these emails, we want to make sure that they're actually going to end up at those inboxes. So it looks like we passed all of these. If we did fail, it would tell us we failed, and then it would give us some insight into why we failed. So that way we can go back and edit the email before we actually send it out. So that's how we would run an inbox preview. Oh, sorry about that. But now we're back inside of the dynamic sandbox. So if we do want to see some of the metrics that we'll get back after we send this out, we would go to a previously sent email, and then you're going to be able to click on this email statistics button. And it's going to show you things like, what was our click rate? How many people opened this? How many people interacted? Did it bounce? Did anybody unsubscribe? Go to email clients, it's going to show you where they're opening it. Conversions, I think, is actually super useful. So it is going to show us the percentage of people that visited our website as a result of this email send, how many people submitted a form, how many put in a survey. Under click report, it's going to show us which links people are clicking on and how many clicks each one of those links actually drove for us. This is taking just a second to load. Yep, my home internet is a little slow today, so forgive me. While we wait, I'll go ahead and click into recipients. This is going to show us the people that we were actually sending this email to, how many were delivered, opened, clicked, bounced. The click heat map will actually show us in the email where people were clicking inside of that. So where was everyone's attention? Did anybody click on the social share buttons? And then if anybody did share this on a social site, it's going to track that as well, and you'll be able to see exactly where it was shared. But let's go back into the click report. So there we go. You'll get an image of the links that were clicked as well as the unique and total clicks. And one of the other things that we have the ability to measure is if we did run a split test, for example, we would give you metrics on that as well. So when we are looking at a split test, you're going to be able to run a split test with different email templates. You could do it with different subject lines or pre-headers if we wanted to. We could do, you'll be able to select a test size group. We can send them at different times. And then after we meet the number of people who are running through the test group, it'll select the winning strategy based off of what you choose. So you'll have the option to choose unique clicks, unique opens, or total clicks or total opens as far as how we decide our winning strategy. So you can do split tests in here as well. If we go back into messaging and scroll down, this is where we would create those email templates. And again, you'd have the same functionality as if we were using that drag and drop editor where we just made that email. You'll be able to see any of your drafts, all of the stuff that's scheduled, anything we've sent in the past. But really what I want to jump to next is going to be our campaign automation functionality. So I like to refer to this as the crown jewel of what ClickDimensions does. And that really is mostly due to the fact that it makes it really easy for marketers to communicate with people while staying hands off. So after we create these campaign automations, it's going to be really easy for us to put people into them and market to them without actually having to send, each of those individual emails, SMSs. It's going to do all of that for us. So again, when we're creating this, we can tie it back to that specific dynamics campaign right here. So if I did want to tie this to the campaign that I have, I would just pull it in like that. What we have to do is save it, and then it's going to give us the option to open the builder up here. So when I click open builder, it's going to give me a few templates to start with as well, and we'll look at a template just to get an idea of what's going to be available. But let's say we want to market to people who have submitted a contact us form on our website. So what we're doing here is when people submit that form, they're automatically getting added to this warm leads list, and then they're automatically being sent these emails. So we do have, I think it's 4 emails in here. We do have wait timers as well. So, after we send the first email, it's not going to automatically send them the second email. It'll have to wait 1 week, and then we'll send them the second, third, and fourth email. Now, that's a pretty basic one. These can actually get as creative as you want them to be, but there is going to be a lot of stuff we can do in here. So, as far as the triggers, we can trigger a campaign automation based off of a submitted form, subscription change, if someone fills out a survey, if they interact with one of your previous emails. So, for example, if they open or don't open an email send, we can trigger an automation using that. If we add them or remove them from a list, if we update a field in Dynamics, so that's one you can get really creative with as well. Based on field updates, we can actually trigger campaign automation. Registering or attending an event, visiting one of your website pages, or we can manually add people into here. So, these are all drag and drop too. So if we did want to add another way to put someone into the same campaign automation, we would just pull it over here and then say, if we manually add someone to this contact us campaign automation, we want them to go through the same process. So it's a lot of stuff. As far as the actions, you are going to be able to add or remove people from lists. We can send them emails. We can update fields in Dynamics, assign owners, notify users, notify teams, kick off a Dynamics workflow, create a task activity, uh, create a campaign response, or send an SMS. So really, there's a lot of options in here. You're also going to have these wait timers down here. So the date timer, I would say, is more useful for something like an event. If we are running an event 2 weeks from now and we want to start sending emails a week before, we would put that date timer in there. And then what series are going to be, that's going to be a way for us to house multiple steps inside of this campaign automation. So if these do get built out pretty large and we need a way of compressing them, we'll be able to put multiple steps inside of a series, and that's just going to be a way for us to save space. We are going to track your participants as well, but let's go to the automation templates and we'll start from scratch just to show you some of the additional functionality. So I'm going to go ahead and replace the template. Now, everything inside of ClickDimensions is clonable as well. So we were talking about with the templates, the email templates, that if you do want to reuse that same content without changing the previous email send, it's possible. You can also clone these campaign automations and change a couple steps if we want to use the ones that we've previously built. But let's say, we want to kick off a campaign automation based off of someone submitting a form. What we'll do from there is we need to decide who this lead is actually going to be assigned to. So, most companies, they have more than one salesperson. So it's unrealistic to think that we would kick off a campaign automation and just have to assign it to one owner. What we're going to do is we'll pull these arrows to all of these different owners, and you'll notice this popped up here. And this is what is known as a decision node. So if we click on this, you're going to have the ability to add conditions in there similar to that email functionality we looked at earlier that say, based off of where this person is located or the information they filled out, this will be assigned to this specific owner. So, let's say my territory is Atlanta. We'll say the contact or lead address city equals Atlanta. And now that'll be assigned to owner one. Again, you can add multiple clauses. We would add different cities for these other owners. But once we save and close that, now every time someone puts Atlanta into the submitted form, it's going back to me. Now let's say we also want to send them an email. So we can put them through the same steps based off of the owner, or you could actually change, the steps based off of the region if we wanted to. But if we did want to send them all the same email, we just tie this back in, and this is more for making sure that we have everything straightened away inside of Dynamics. So we send them that first email. Now we want to check to see if they're actually opening or interacting with that email. And just to show you how easy it is to select the owner, select the email, we would say, this is going to me. We're going to tie myself to it. And now I've assigned the owner one. If we did want to select the email template, you're going to be able to search one of those existing templates that we have. You could always change the from name again if we wanted to, as well as the reply to email address. And we could even run an A/B split test inside of the campaign automation. But let's just say we're checking to see if someone opened this. Now, if they didn't, what I would do is I could send them the same email or a different email, but that's just because they didn't open it. So if they did open it, now we know this person is an active email user. So we know the email is real. We want to go ahead and add them to a specific list. Oh, sorry, pulled the wrong thing here. This is a trigger and I need an action. So let me just delete this real quick. We're going to go add to list. So now, oops, sorry, I'm having a little issue with my mouse, but there it goes. Okay, so now this person has interacted with the email. We're adding to them to this list, and then we're also going to send them another email that says, hey, thanks for downloading our form. Do you need any help with whatever you're looking into? So, we have a different series of steps based on how people are interacting with our content. So again, these could be built out as creatively as you wanted them to. I've seen very, very large ones used in the past, but really this is where the automation piece comes in with ClickDimensions, because there's a lot we can do in here while not actually touching these people who are coming into our CRM as new leads or contacts. So just to show you another one that's a little bit more built out, I'm going to go ahead and X out of here, go back into campaign automations, and you'll see this one's been cloned a few times because we've used it for multiple events. But if we do go into the Dynamics 365 Saturday, and we go to Open Builder, we'll see here how we actually use the series. But you can see, this one has a lot more built out to it. And if we did want to add multiple steps into one single series, we can double click on this and it'll pull up that series and show us all of the different steps that are involved with it. So that's how we would use the campaign automation tool. If we do have any additional questions on this after we get off the webinar, please feel free to reach out to Chad, because there is a ton of extra stuff that we could do in here that we haven't covered. But just for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and move them forward. So if we keep scrolling down, you're going to be able to see statistics related to those emails that we've sent. So if any recipients were excluded, for example, if we were sending people a newsletter, but they'd unsubscribed from everything besides transactional emails, that person wouldn't be sent the newsletter, even if they were still on that marketing list, and they would show up under the excluded recipients tab. We can see all of our unsubscribe. If there were any email errors, they would show up here, or we can look at all of our previous sent emails. Scrolling down, we can create new SMS messages from in here as well. So again, if we're using Twilio, bulk SMS, or MessageNet, you are going to be able to tie those into Dynamics so we can send these SMSs from right inside of CRM. Now again, and this is a pretty common theme, you do have to title this and save it before we can actually create the content. Again, we can tie this back to that specific campaign that we have. And then once I save this, I can go ahead and edit the message content. So give me 1 second while this loads. But again, what's great about this is you have the ability to pull from all those fields. So if we do want to pull someone's name, or their business, or any information that we have inside or have on them inside of Dynamics, we are going to be able to pull that information into this message that we're sending right out of Dynamics. We are going to pull in the responses as well. So if we do need to see the responses, that's always something that we can check. We can send bulk SMSs, or you have the ability to send individual texts as well. If we go down into social, this is where we're going to be able to create social posts from inside of CRM. Again, what we would do is we would title this, save it, and then you're going to see the create post button pop up. So when we click on this, it is going to let us post to Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. I believe we have our Twitter and Facebook connected now. And again, I'm sorry, my computer is being super slow today. But really, what this post console is going to let you do is schedule posts into the future. Those will show up on that marketing calendar. And then what's great about posting from right instead of dynamic CRM is when we do have a link inside of these social posts, we're going to be able to track those link clicks back to specific contacts and leads inside of Dynamics. Or we can, again, look at them from a campaign level or an organizational level. So I'm having a little bit of trouble getting this to pop up. So we'll skip that for now, but you can post from inside of Dynamics. And when we do post, you are going to be able to see those social clicks. So if we do go down here into our social clicks, we're going to store anonymous link clicks as well as the clicks from the people that we know are existing contacts or leads. So if they are an existing contact or lead, their name's going to show up here under the contact or lead area. And then if they're anonymous, we're just not going to have their names down here. But this is pretty useful because if we are calling into a new lead, for example, and we see information on what they were actually interacting with, then your salespeople have a better idea of what that person is interested in. Now, things like social clicks, email interactions, whether or not they're opening the email or visiting your website, that's all going to contribute to these people's lead scores as well. So that's another reason we want to track those clicks. If we go to existing social posts, you are going to be able to see all of your past social posts. If we click on one of these, for example, it'll also show us our click report in here. So if we did just want to see them related to a specific social post, we could always go to clicks. We'll see all of those link clicks in here. But again, we're going to be able to do all of that from an individual level as well. And before we move out of messaging, one thing that I think is super useful, especially for salespeople, which is, my profession as well, is the ability to send one-offs from our marketing team. So as a salesperson, I know that my marketing team is better at creating content than I am. And I want the ability to actually use that content on a regular basis. What we would do when creating a new email template as a marketer is we would turn on the ability to use this as a quick send. So if I turn on this quick send template and I make a nice template for all of my team to use, now as the salesperson, if I go into a specific lead or contact inside of CRM, I have the ability to use that as a one-off. So if I do go into this contact record, I can click on this ellipses up here and I can go to ClickDimensions Quick Send. And now from here, I have the ability to pull any email template that I want to use. So for example, if I wanted to use DC United, I could tie this back to a specific campaign. I could edit the from user again if I wanted to, but it's going to populate this messaging that my marketing team has created for me. So I don't actually have to make the email. But I use this all the time. So I think if we are using ClickDimensions, one of the things we need to do when we're creating those templates is turn on the quick send so that all of the people in your organization have the ability to actually use that email instead of just using it in a one-time email send. Now, while we're on the contact level, I do want to show you where we would see the other ClickDimensions information. Again, we would jump into the related tab, and then we're going to be able to see things like any of this person's social profiles. We can see which pages they're viewing. We can see if he had visited anything anonymously before he converted, meaning, when we saw those social clicks, we saw a bunch of anonymous clicks in there as well. Well, one of the things that ClickDimensions does is we do store that anonymous click, and then once a person does convert, meaning they either fill out a form on our website and enter our CRM that way, or we enter their information manually, we can retroactively associate that click back to this person. You'll be able to see any of their social clicks, any of the page visits. You're also going to be able to see what we've marketed to them. So any sent emails, any marketing lists that they're a part of. We'll also be able to see if we've sent them any text messages. But you can dive into all of that from the contact or lead field. Okay, so we took a look at the messaging and planning tab. The next tab down, this is going to be the web and events. So this is where we're going to create forms if we want to use the ClickDimensions web forms. If we are already using a tool like like Gravity Forms or WordPress or something like that, we can put the ClickDimensions code into those so that we still have tracking back inside of Dynamics, but we can also create the forms right inside of CRM and ClickDimensions if we wanted to. This is also going to be where we create landing pages, surveys, and our subscription managements. And then we're also going to have website statistics on things like page views, visits, those anonymous visitors, and any events that we're running. But let's say we did want to create new web content. Again, what we're going to do is title this. We select what we want to create. So for this example, I'm going to go ahead and dive into the surveys. We tie this back to our domain, and Troximo is our demo environment. And then with the surveys, we do have a forms designer, which is similar to how we would create a web form in here, and it is drag and drop. But we also just launched a new online survey tool that I'd like to show you today. So if we go to design, that's going to pull up our new survey tool. And this is going to have a lot of new functionality that we're actually really excited about. So again, this is all drag and drop. But let's say, we did want to do a net promoter score or something. What we do is we pull that question in here. Sorry. And then we have the ability to actually edit what the title is. My mouse is being a little bit crazy right now, so I apologize for that. Okay, so let's try one of these ones. Okay, so now that we got it working, sorry about that, we would type in the name of the question. So if we did say, how do you feel about your last ClickDimensions experience? Now that question's populated, we have the ability to say if this is visible or if it's required. We can make it read only if we wanted to, but we can also add logic in here as well. So if we did have multiple questions and we wanted to question people in a series and kind of direct them towards the questions that are relevant, how they answer, you do have the logic functionality in here. We can do things like image selectors. So you can pull from any of those images that we already have in our library. I am going to try this rating one again just because it wasn't letting me pull it a second ago. But you do have a lot of different options when it comes to pulling different types of questions. And then from there, you're going to be able to edit everything from the title, the description, and then whether or not the person who is filling out the survey actually has to answer them or not. So it's a ton of stuff that we can do in here. And then it seems my computer is a little bit frozen, but we can also do a test survey as well. So if we want to see how this would actually look before we send it live, we could jump into the test survey. If we had logic built into this where it said, with this NPS score, we only want to show the next question if they answered 9 or higher, we wouldn't be able to see any of this other stuff. It would just be this one question. And then as people select their answer, we'll start populating the other questions down below. So you can always embed this. So if we did need to, I need to save it to be able to embed it. But if we did want to save that and embed it, you can always embed it as a widget, iframe. We have the ability to pull those into our landing pages as well. If we did want to see the survey results, what we would do is we'd go back into our previous survey. This is one I believe I have a couple answers for, but then I can jump directly into the survey report, and we're going to be able to see the average answers for all of these different questions. So, it'll show us where these people are responding, what image they're selecting here. We ran a true or false here. We could see whether or not, people are answering true or false. And then we'll show you, the average for each one of these questions. So you do have an ability to look into how people were responding to those surveys. If we scroll down, I think the web statistics are going to be pretty useful as well. So if we do want to look at things like how many people were visiting our website, you are going to be able to see, again, if this person is an active leader contact, what the name of that person was. You'll be able to see how long that person was actually on your website, as well as the total pages that they're visiting. So that's all super useful. If we do want to see those specific pages on the website that the people are looking into, we would jump into page views. Again, we can see it's who the contact is that's looking, but now we have the page title as well. So this gives us a more direct view into which content this person was looking at. And then again, if we do want to see how long this person was actually on that page, you can see that information over to the right. We do store those anonymous visitors. We do have that marketing calendar access here as well. But let's say we wanted to create a new event. So again, ClickDimensions can handle your events if we're using Eventbrite, Cvent, WebEx, or GoToWebinar. Um, if we did want to create a new event, what we would do is we would title this. We would say what time this event is actually scheduled to start. And then that's actually going to pull from one of the connectors in the back end of ClickDimensions. So if we do have an Eventbrite, for example, set up, and inside of the Eventbrite, we've made our event and we have it ready to go, but we just need these people to come back into Dynamics and be automatically created as leads. Once we add that scheduled start and date time, it is going to pull from the Eventbrite connector that we have set up already. And then we'll go ahead and say, we want these people to automatically be created as leads as they participate. And then from there, we can add the event ID, and then we're going to be able to show you all of the active participations from the people who actually attended that event. So if we do go to some of these events that we've ran in the past and click on one of these, you are going to be able to go to the event participants and see all of the people who actually showed up. So again, this was a demo that one of my colleagues, Amelia, ran. But if we did run a real event, we would be showing all of the event participations. And then you can always look into, all of that information that we filled out before. If we scroll down into the library, this is going to be where we're housing all of the different images that we're using for our different email and marketing content. So instead of, pulling it from an outside source, you're going to have the ability to store it inside of ClickDimensions and Dynamics. So that way we can use it whenever we need it. So we have been looking at a lot of Troximo stuff, but you can create these new folders. And then once we do jump into one of these folders, you'll be able to see all of your content that we have available in here. And then under audience, this is where we're going to be able to access our contacts, leads, accounts, but mainly this is where we're going to be coming to create our marketing list. So, it is going to be important when we're sending out all of this different email content that we are using marketing lists. We can have a dynamic or static list that we market to. And you can always use the Dynamics advanced find functionality to pull specific contacts and leads based off of specific criteria in the content of the actual email that we'd be sending them. And if we did need to import people from an outside source, you can use a ClickDimensions import. There is a lot of importing functionality inside of Dynamics if we did want to import contacts or leads, for example. But if we did want to import people into a marketing list, that's where we would use the ClickDimensions import. Then lastly, under the settings and support tab, this is where we would come to set up our lead score. So if we did want to, customize what our values were for these different actions these people are taking with their content, we can edit those values under the score settings. This is where we can grab the tracking script. We can access our training center from back here. If you did have a support issue, then we can open a ticket through the support center. This is also where we're going to set up any of our connectors and our event connectors down here. But really, I use the support center more for training. So, I actually use the ClickDimensions Academy to learn how to use this tool. And that's what we recommend new customers do as well. So if we did want to jump into the Academy, we can always access it through the training center. But really, this is more of the IT section. But even myself, who's in sales, I wouldn't consider myself overly technical. But even I was able to set up an Eventbrite connector back here. So it is It is super easy. It gives you step-by-step guidance. And, if we do have any issues that we need help with, we are going to have our support center access. So that really is the high level overview of ClickDimensions. Now, there's a lot more specific things that we could do, but if we do have questions about any of this, I would recommend going back to Chad at LedgeView. Him and his team are experts as well. But with that said, I'll go ahead and pass it back to Chad.
All right, thanks a lot, Matt. That is a ton of information to cover, and hopefully everybody got a lot of takeaways from that. Now, the best way to really see this thing as well is to request a personal demo. We'd be happy to walk you through this on a one-to-one basis, allow you to really dig into specific features and ask questions along the way. So we are here to answer any questions you may have regarding ClickDimensions, regarding marketing automation, and just the amazing things that it does by really living within Microsoft Dynamics 365. So again, ledgerpartners.com, we've got a host of resources on there that cover sales, marketing, customer service, CRM, marketing automation, and a whole slew of stuff. So thank you very much for joining us, and we hope to speak with you soon.